Howdy my totally always Tubular gamers, we're back with, you guessed it, another video, but today I got something a little different for you. Not a ranking video, not a hot take list, not even a review. Today I have a preview for you. And that preview is on the Ace Attorney Investigations collection coming out next month by Capcom. Capcom was nice enough to send me an early code to share my thoughts on it, and I'm going to do just that. So funny enough, before this year I'd never actually touched any of the Ace Attorney games, but thanks to the Apollo Justice collection earlier this year, I have played some Ace Attorney and I actually really enjoy it. This very well might be my favorite visual novel series ever. I mean, Danganronpa's always going to have a special place in my heart, but Ace Attorney is pretty great. So this collection includes Ace Attorney Investigations Miles Edgeworth and Ace Attorney Investigations Miles Edgeworth 2 Prosecutor's Gambit. The second game was never actually released in America at all, so this is basically a new game unless you played the fan translation. And yeah, I really never thought I was going to play either of these games with both of them still being locked to the DS, but now I've been able to play both of them. And I can tell you that both of these games are actually pretty great. I'll just immediately say it that if you like the Ace Attorney games and have not tried these, this collection should really be on your radar. These are spin-offs from the main series where you play as a prosecutor, Miles Edgeworth, and they are a little different gameplay-wise, but they're still visual novels at heart, and this is the definitive way to play these games. And it's really great that they're just going to be widely accessible. The more people that can play these games, the better. I will say though, if you're somebody who's already played both of these games, maybe you played the original game back on DS or on iPhone and then you played the fan translation, I don't know if I can really recommend this collection to you. But if you're a diehard Ace Attorney fan, this is absolutely worth getting. There's a bunch of special features, concept art, a bunch of stuff I can't show here, but there's a lot of fan service. Also, the games look significantly better than their original releases. I mean, these are basically full-blown remakes of these games. Obviously, the gameplay is completely untouched outside of the interface and controls changing, but the graphics actually look really good. I like the new art style. The animation's solid and everything's really touched up. I mean, the original two games were DS games. What did you expect from them graphically? But if you're someone who really does prefer the look of the original, you can actually play with the original graphics, which is a neat touch. What I'm trying to say is when it comes to the presentation and the graphics, it's really the best you're going to get from the entire Ace Attorney series. I love the sprites, I love the hand-drawn characters, and I like that it's not the kind of weird 3D that some of the later Ace Attorney games use. The aesthetic is really solid also. Everything is just top-notch when it comes to the presentation. When it comes to the gameplay, this is actually a bit different from the other Ace Attorney games. Both of these games played nearly identical, where it's a mix of like a point-and-click adventure game, a puzzle game, and a visual novel. Rather than the main Ace Attorney games, which are mostly just visual novel, you actually do get to walk around in environments as Miles. You get to freely walk around these environments, interact with the crime scene and the characters, solve some puzzles, and you get to use Miles' special ability, Logic, where he has two pieces of evidence and he can combine them to come to some kind of conclusion. This gameplay loop actually really works. Both of these games have 5 cases each, and I will just say that some of these cases are some of the most intricate, interesting cases that the Ace Attorney series has ever seen, especially in the second game. I really don't want to spoil anything beyond the first case, so I will just say that the second game's cases go really hard. And that's not to discount the first game's cases either. There's some good, even great cases in the first one. It's just the second one, oh, it's gold, gold, gold. Like, it is all really great stuff. Outside of just investigating the area and talking to people, there are what are essentially cross-examinations, where you're presented a testimony and Miles has to deduce whether that's true, press for more information, and of course present any contradictions. And this gameplay, it worked in the Ace Attorney games, it works here. Sometimes it is a bit trial and error, especially in the first one, but it's still a rewarding, engaging experience. And if you're somebody who's looking for a more chill time, you don't want to do the puzzles or thinking, I guess, you can do the story mode difficulty where you basically just watch the entire game unfold. But I wouldn't recommend that because actually figuring out the puzzles, seeking solutions, finding the contradictions, it's quite rewarding. And seeing the characters just absolutely lose their shit as you piece together a bunch of evidence is incredibly entertaining. Both of these games are very entertaining. Like, the writing in both of these games is nothing short of fantastic. It's funny, it's engaging, it's witty. Both games have absolutely fantastic characters. I mean, Miles is one of the best characters in the Ace Attorney series, but there's some other really great characters that show up in both of these games. The characters are incredibly likable, lovable, and above all else are just extremely memorable. That and the puns just go crazy in both of these games. The puns, top tier stuff. both of these games would not be anywhere near as good as they are if not for the excellent writing and characters, because the gameplay at the end of the day isn't the focal point of these games. It's the story and the characters, and that is just excellent. Like, if you're going to play these games at all, if you're going to play any of the Ace Attorney games, it's for the story and the characters. While the gameplay and the puzzle solving is quite a bit more involved than the main Ace Attorney games, it still is just a means to tell such an awesome story. Both of these games, when it comes to the story, are nothing short of phenomenal. And I don't want to spoil a single thing. I'm not going to give a basic plot synopsis for either of these games. I'm just going to say you play as Miles, he does investigations, that's what the title implies, that's what the story's about. I feel like I would be doing a disservice explaining any more of the stories, and so I'm just going to call it there. So let's wrap things up. Obviously, this isn't the 1.0 release of the game, but it's as close as it's going to get, and I can say that this is a very quality product. And so who do I think should check this game out when it releases on September 6th for Switch, PS4, Xbox, and PC? Well, if you like the Ace Attorney series and have not checked out these two games, this is absolutely worth getting. Like, it is totally worth your time. These are some of the best Ace Attorney games, period. And I feel like not enough people talk about them, probably because they're spin-offs and one of them never even came to America, but both games are great. However, if you've already played both of these games, it's a bit of a harder sell. I mean, it looks a lot better. This is the first time the second game's officially getting released over here, but the story's the same, the gameplay is the same, and if the story's the same and you've already experienced it, well, you really already experienced the reason why you play these games. But you know what? I'm still going to recommend it thanks to the quality of life improvements and the new visuals. I quite enjoy the new visuals. If you like detective games, point-and-click games, puzzle games, visual novels, even adventure games, I think you're going to enjoy this. You also don't need to have played the other Ace Attorney games. While there's plenty of references and throwbacks to older games, but it's not required reading here. You're not going to really miss out on the story. You just might not get a reference or two. It really isn't the biggest of deals. The game's stories are very self-contained and are still fantastic. To wrap things up, I think this is a good collection. I want to give another shout out to Capcom for hooking me up with this collection. I was looking forward to this, and I'm really grateful that I've had the chance to play the Ace Attorney games this year. It's been one of the highlights of 2024 for sure. And so with that, that is the end of today's video. I hope you all enjoyed it. Let me know down below if you're going to get this collection or what your favorite Ace Attorney games are, or if you want to see me do a video on something else. How do you feel about me doing a preview video? This was my first one. Today's code word is birthday. If you made it to this part of the video, comment birthday. That's the secret code word. I'm saying that because it actually is my birthday. I'm going to go celebrate, go to a winery, have some fun. And with that, bye-bye.